Welcome to Workshop of Death, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to be showing you a few upgrades I've made on my workshop. I'm rebuilding the entire thing. I'm strengthening the wall I built out of latticework. I also put in a door. A nice tight fit. Got to reinforce the wall though. All these tires are going to act as an outer barrier for the outside of my wall. Here you can see I've mounted my anvil on this giant stump, a new stump, not rotten like the old one. Got chains around it. It's hooked to this railroad tie or whatever it is, really heavy duty board that weighs like, I don't know how much it weighs. It weighs a lot though. And it's also propped up by bricks and wedged under the actual frame of this building. My railroad track anvil is held in by like 6-inch giant wood screws, wood bolts actually, not screws, they're bolts. I screwed them right through this board into the log so they're all one piece. It's good and solid. I can use the horn now. No more wiggling. It's not going anywhere. Here's the old log the anvil was on, all rotten and stuff. I'm going to bury that in the ground a little bit, and that's what I'm going to mount my vise on. Now, it's a sad day today because I retired my old clay forge. Here it is. It's still functional. Right here on the side you can see where the air went in. It feeds this tunnel of air that comes up as like a line, so you get a line of hot coal for longer things. This whole part's made 100% of clay from the ground, or like the same kind of clay you'd use as cat litter, you know what I mean? Here's the air tunnel. It goes all the way in. This is to clean out the ash that may fall in there and clog it while you're using it. Right here, as you can see, all the impurities from the coal, like the clinkers and stuff, fuse to the sides of your clay, and eventually you have to like break this up and redo it. The clay can be reused. This crap you might want to get out of it. Separate. Forgive me, I live right next to the throughway. So what we're going to do is we're going to crush this thing all up for the clay, and we're going to build a new forge with a completely different design, also out of junk. This one's not going to be exactly free, but it's going to be really cheap. I call it the car rim forge. Now so far the only thing that was bought was these fire bricks. These fire bricks can withstand a buttload of heat, so they're ideal. And they cost $3 a piece. That's just to stop the heat from ever touching this wooden table. It's going to have a hole cut in the bottom for the airflow and the metal thing underneath. Bet you're wondering why I have these propane tanks. They're actually empty. You can find these junk laying around like empty propane tanks. And I'm going to use those for the pipe that all the airflow comes up in. I've taken the liberty of letting all the gas out and then cutting into it with a coping saw, steel saw too. Not an electric one, a hand saw. Because this can blow up. I'm going to cut both ends of it and use it as a pipe. This is going to be a pretty long pipe. Then I'm going to put a hole in the side for this radiator hose. I'm pretty confident this is not going to get hot enough to mess with this if we build this right. Then I'm going to cut some like little slits in here. I'm going to do that next. And that's going to allow me to put pieces into the fire pot, because laying them in at an angle like this is always going to make it hard to heat certain places on your work. And that sucks. So I'm going to cut holes in here, not enough to let the coal out, but enough to let things into the fire pot where you want them, like in it, but not all the way touching the bottom, so they get cooled off by your airflow. You don't want that. So let's get started making the cuts and measuring stuff. See, there you go. Now I can use the power saw on the other end. As you can see, that cut like butter. It acts like mild steel when it's in this form. Even though it's stainless steel, really tough stuff. It can withstand enough heat to melt aluminum and weaker steels inside of it. If you try to melt mild steel, you'd be cutting it really close, because I think this stuff melts at 1800 degrees. But people use them for crappy crucibles to melt aluminum, like beer cans into ingots. Alright, I got my DeWalt cutting disc mounted shittily on my grinding wheel. This is something you should never ever attempt. It is so freaking dangerous that I should be wearing chainmail armor to do this. I've got this metal plate set up in back because this thing's about to shoot molten steel everywhere. made a series of cuts with that wheel. Now I'm hopefully just going to pound these little pieces off with a hammer after I saw in a little bit with a coping saw. Prepare for the most god-awful sound you've ever heard. There it is. So now we're going to see how sturdy this here table is. That was easy. That came out pretty easily. Now I can have 2 different layers to stick things on. Alright, let's see how this thing turns out. Okay, this is a rough estimate of what's going to happen. Let's see. Yep, I can get the long pieces. See? Now I can finagle things into the fire pot, nice and low, or medium. Touching the brick so the end it doesn't like heat up where I don't want it. Perfect. Alright, so I have these 2 things cut. This one will fit on here with a little bit of aluminum tape for an exhaust pipe. Now I'm going to put this end in here, like so, and tippity tap around. Good. Now we're just gonna bend these like this. Hold them in. That's not going anywhere. I'm gonna bend them right over and down like this. Now that's one piece. Perfect. Gonna go around with the ball peen and try and fit that. Now this stuff has to get like 1800 degrees before it melts, so we're good, trust me. With a plate over this with holes in it, that ain't gonna be hurt. Okay guys, I did some off-camera cutting. I made this as a screen, 1/8 thick, mild steel. Got the grates right through it so the air can get through. I also cut this hole to fit the radiator hose in. It fits perfect and snug. See this? Whoop. Here we go. Try and put this in here. Ow, God! Stab me right in the cut. Right. As you can see, it's right in there, and it's a snug fit. Now I gotta connect this to the other one. I don't have any aluminum muffler tape, I only have duct tape. But don't worry, because duct tape fixes everything. This is gonna work. Maybe. Depends. Who knows? I almost forgot I have to cut a hole in this table. Right in the middle. Right here. Now I could just use a power drill to drill through a starting hole through the table. But I'm gonna stick to the old Cat's Cradle Forge way and just use this old-fashioned auger. That hole should be big enough. I'm just kind of jamming in there. This will bore through the table in like 2 seconds. As you can see, it makes a really smooth hole. Now to use my grandfather's drywall saw to cut through the table. Good. Okay, we got our hole cut. And there we go. All right. As you can see, it fits perfectly, and the hose for the blow dryer is right there. Alright, next I'm going to crush up some of this old clay to make a base for the rim to keep it from overheating or anything. Which means I'm about to get my hands really dirty. Here I got a bunch of the clay in a metal pan. I'm just going to break it up. Well, I broke up most of the clay. I have this big old pile of clay dust right there. All that remains of the old forge is just the sides right there. The sides all encrusted with that stuff. It's really hard to get out, so I used that last. I didn't need to use it, hopefully. I'll just leave that like that as like a reminder of what I used to forge in. Anyone interested in learning how I built this particular forge you see in front of you, I'll leave a link in the description below of the video of how I built it. It's called $0 Forge. Free forge build. Do it yourself. The thing worked marvelous. I don't remember how many pieces in it, how much work I've done through it. I know I've gone through about 80 pounds of coal, Arthensight, through this thing, plus matchlight and all the wood I burned to light all that stuff. So that thing took a beating, and then some. Alright, let's mix up that clay and see what we can do here about aligning. Alright, I'm getting there. I've got the clay base. Just seeing how these... There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I may not have enough clay to support the back ends of this, so I might have to break up more, but we're just going to start it up and dry out all that clay to see what happens. I find that if you let the clay dry on its own, it gets big cracks in it, but if you heat it up, it stays in one piece, usually. And that's what we want, one solid piece. Alrighty, let's light this thing. Woo! Alright, this thing's raging right now. As you can see, I'm not getting burned whatsoever. So that means the ceiling ain't getting burned whatsoever. Let's take a look in here. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Alright, let's put this small crowbar that's broken in there and make a hold down tool for the preacher hole on my tiny little railroad spike anvil. First of all, we're going to get this Right in there like so. Ow, mother bro. Cover it. Got my piece in here. Now we get to try out the anvil. Haha. Wow, looks like I've melted it almost. Yeah, I did melt it. Break off all that shit we don't need. Just like that. Let's test this shit out for shits and giggles. See what we're working with. Oh yeah, that ain't going anywhere. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, she works beautifully. Just as I expected. And the pipe underneath is just barely warm, even though that's like hot enough to like literally melt you to the bone. Another junk forge build success. Take notes, people. Carbon forge, do it. Build one. They freaking work. Really good. It's like a brake drum forge, but you got more room to work with, and you can get things deep in the fire pot from all angles if you did it the way I did it. It's just superior to a brake drum forge in every way. I like it. Over time, we're probably gonna have to replace the duct tape with like muffler tape, aluminum tape, but that's all good. Like I'll add a trapdoor on the bottom. I can rivet hinges and stuff into this, so that stainless steel, it's versatile. It's not gonna hurt anything. So tune in next time to Workshop of Death. Eric's got a crazy idea. He's always got some crazy weapons ideas, and I got a spring steel knife coming that I started before I built this. I started it in my homemade forge over there, and I did most of the grinding work at Eric's house on his power belt sander, and now I built this forge, so now I can do other things with it. So tune in next time. It's either going to be my spring steel video, or it's going to be Eric's video, and if it's Eric's video, one of us might lose an eye. That's all I have to say. One of us might lose an eye. I want to give a huge shout out to every single person watching these videos. I mean, it is amazing. 500 subscribers. I never thought that this channel would ever do that, and it's really a trip. I mean, we appreciate it more than you know. We got giveaways coming. We're going to hook you guys up. It's going to be marvelous. It is absolutely this great honor. I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe that the channel grew so fast. Like, I thought it was going to take like maybe 5 years to get like 100 subscribers. Thank you very much, everybody, and I mean that. And it's going to reflect in our giveaways. The bigger we grow, the better the giveaways are going to get. We're going to push the envelope. It's going to be awesome. So tune in, keep watching, and remember, winter is coming.